डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन युनिव्हर्सिटी.
Hello students, myself Dr. Shivang Patel, Associate Professor, School of Computer Science, Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Welcome you all at Chaitanya Studio of Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. In the lecture series of Operating System subject, we have completed all 4 units of Block 3. We have already started and completed few parts of Unit 1 of Block 4, which is process management, file management and shell programming in Linux or Unix operating system. So just revise few of the topics that we have covered in Unit 1. Then after we will start with few more commands related with process management. So as you already aware, in the previous session that we have discussed the basic commands of related with the process management, right? So we have discussed what is process first of all. So just revise that thing. So process is nothing but you can say that it is the instance of program that is active, or you can say that it is currently running part of particular program, or you can say that the basic unit of work that operating system can schedule, operating system can execute. So that is the process. As you have already learned in previous units in the theory part of operating system subject, that various states for that process is like whenever the process will start, then it is in a ready state, then running state, then after block state, wait state, and at the end the process is successfully completed, all the resources that can be released, that can be allocated by that particular process. So all these states and their transitions that you have discussed in the previous unit in the theory portion. In the Linux, we have discussed various commands that can be used related with the process management. So first of all, whenever the process or the program that can be executed, few of the resources, you can say that the resource in the sense it may be memory, it may be CPU, it may be any other program, or you can say that any device that can be allocated by that particular process, or you can say that the particular task, or you can say that particular job that can be allocated by that particular process, right? So whenever that process will execute, the resource will be allocated to that process. And whenever the process is successfully completed, then all the resources are released that can be allocated by that particular process. And those free resources now operating system can assign to another process. This is the general scenario whenever you are talking about the process management. Now suppose process is not successfully completed. In that case, due to some reason, maybe process is waiting for some of the resources that cannot be available right now, or the CPU time which is required, it is not sufficient for that particular process, or the memory requirement, it is not sufficient. In that case, process will hold or wait or suspend for few time. You can say that the few milliseconds, it may be seconds, it may be minutes, or maybe forever, right? So in that case, you are requiring to manage those processes by manual intervention. So for that, various commands are used, how to interact those processes, how to interrupt that processes, how to kill that processes, how to terminate that processes manually. So the resource can be released and you can assign to some different processes. So all these tasks that can be done in the process management. So apart from this, we have discussed in the previous session that which are the related commands with process management. So we have discussed the first command, that is PS, that is process status. If you want to know the particular process which are currently executing for your system, in that case you are using the PS command. So PS command not only shows you that basically which are the processes or job or task that are currently executing, but also that job number, or you can say that the process ID, as well as the memory allocation or CPU allocation. So whatever the resource is allocated by that particular process, that you can know with the help of PS command also, right? So that command that we have discussed. Second command that we have discussed, that is foreground and background of the process. Now suppose whenever the process will be executed and you know that it will take some more time, in that case you can move into the background. So if you are moving that particular process background, in that case it will execute that process in the background and you can able to execute few more processes in the foreground. So how you can move that particular process into the background? So you can use or you can execute that command with the ampersand that we have already discussed. Say for example, you are executing one command. Here you can say that it is one task, sleep, and then after the second, say for example 120 seconds, then after you are using ampersand. That means that process or that command will execute in the background, right? So whenever the process or command will execute in the background, user can able to execute some more processes in the foreground. Another thing, if you want to move the process in the background, you can temporarily use Ctrl Z. So whenever you are using Ctrl Z, that process is temporarily stopped, or you can say that it will execute in the background and you can get the command prompt. So you can able to execute some new process or other required processes. Then after you can use BG command for moving into the background. Now suppose you are already having some of the processes in the background, you want to move in the foreground. You can say that you have to make that particular process as current process. In that case you can use FG command, that is for foreground. So these three commands that we have discussed, PS, then after background BG, and for foreground FG. In PS command we have discussed if you want to show the list of all the current processes, then you are using that PS command. But suppose you want to show whatever the process is currently executing in the background, then you are using the jobs command. So whenever you are executing this jobs command, you can see the list of all the processes which are currently running in the background. So you can get idea which process is currently running with that process number or process ID. So if you want to move to all those background processes to the foreground, or you want to perform some additional other operations on those processes, you can use that jobs command. So you can able to see whatever the process ID. So this thing that we have discussed. Then after we have discussing, suppose you want to terminate particular process. So basically multiple scenarios that we have discussed, Control C, Control backslash, then after Control Z and kill command, and then after we have discussed background and the kill command. So some of the processes that cannot be executed currently, but still resources are allocated by those processes and they are waiting infinitely due to some reason. Reason may be anything from the system side. Some of the resources are not available, or it will wait for some another process to complete, but that process may be in the infinite time. So due to any reason, you cannot able to close that particular process. In that case, you have to manually intervention that process, and you can use the kill command to kill or to end that particular process manually. In that case, you are using kill command and then after the process ID. So all these commands that we have discussed in the previous session. Now we are starting with today's session, few more commands that are related with the process management. So if you want to schedule jobs and running jobs periodically, in that case, we have to use add command. So whenever you are using add command, it is used for scheduling the job. So suppose you want to execute some of the command at some specific time, in that case you are using add command. And the syntax that you have to use, that is at, then after the time. Here the time that may be specified in some specific format. It may be in minutes, it may be in hours, it may be in dates or days, or any time that your choice. So again I am repeating that whenever you are using add command, if you want to schedule that particular command, or you can say that the particular job at specified time, in that case you are using add command. Now this is the syntax for this add command. Add command, then after the options and the job. Now the option may be anything. It is in the format HH and MM. Say for example HH, that is the hour, and MM, that is the minute. Here you can note down one thing, whatever the time that you are applying, that is 24-hour format. So if you are assigning 11, then by default it is 11 am, and if you are want to assign some afternoon time, in that case you have to put in 24-hour format. So it is not required to mention PM, it is automatically converted into the afternoon time. Now say for example 4, that specifies the 4 am, and if the time is already passed and still you are using that time for scheduling your job, then system will automatically understand that particular command that you have to execute on the next day. That means that time is already elapsed and still you are trying to schedule that job for particular time. In that case, that job will be executed for the next day for the same time, right? Then after midnight, noon, tea time, these are all the abbreviations. You can say that you can use, or you can directly use the time. Say for example midnight, you are using 12 am, or you can use midnight, then both having the same meaning. Then after the noon, that is 12 pm. Then normally the tea time, that is 4 pm. Then month name, day, year and format. So say for example, you want to execute particular command, or if you want to execute particular job at specific time, say for example January, some date is given, you can see in the option, and then after some year. So that job that will be executed on that particular day and particular date, right? Then after some more options like mmddyy or mm/dd/yy or mm.dd.yy, according to the version of kernel or the various operating system Linux or Ubuntu versions, the format may vary. For example, here 011502, that is the meaning 15th day of January. First 2 digit that denotes the month, then 2 digits that denotes the date. That means 15th day of January, and then after 2 digits that mentions the year. So if you want to execute that particular command or particular job, so you have to mention first 2 digit, then that is the month, then day, and then after the year, right? So you can also apply this thing. Then after, you can see another option, now plus time. Now suppose you want to repeat that particular job, you want to repeat to execute that particular command. In that case, you can use such kind of format. Here in this example, now plus time, that means now plus 5 days, say for example, that specifies that whatever the command that you are specifying, that should be executed at the same time in 5 days. So each and every day, that particular command, or you can say that that particular job, that will be repeated execution, right, on that specified time. Few more options that you can see on your screen. Say for example at, that is the command, now plus 10 minutes, that is the option that you are using. So whatever the associated job, that will start in 10 minutes. Then after at now plus 2 hours, so whatever the job you have mentioned, that will start in 2 hours. Then after for 1 day, 1 week, at tea time, that is 4 pm. Then after specific time you are mentioning and the date. So all these are the specific options that you can use with the at command, right? Now the next one is batch command. Now, as you already aware, what is the batch? Say for example, you want to execute multiple commands and all those commands are listed in one file. So normally it will take from our input from the standard input or some specific file. So you have to create one file. It is considered as the batch file, and that batch file contains number of commands, or you can say that the number of jobs that are listed. But what is the difference between batch and the at command? So if you are using the at command, then it will execute whatever the job at specified time. But whenever you are using that batch command, so if you want to execute all those commands which are stored in the file at some later time, in that case you are using the batch. Now what is the meaning of later time? So later time, that is nothing but, say for example, your job or whatever the CPU that can be freed for some time. So according to the system, it will execute whatever available commands or job in the batches. So whenever the system load level permits, so normally whenever the system load reduces or decreases to 1.5, at that time that all the commands or job available in the batches that can be executed. So mind well, this is the basic difference between at and the batch command. Now the next is cron. So it is nothing but the activity, you can say that, or the service. It is not the command, but it is just considering as the service. Now suppose it is time-based job scheduling service. So whenever you are using this cron command, or you can say that the cron service, at that time it will check every minute that specific command or particular job that can be scheduled or not. So it can be synchronized with your system time. So every time it will check with the system. So whenever the system's time that will be matches with that particular scheduling time, all the commands that can be executed whenever you are specifying in the cron services, right? Another thing, suppose you have already defined that particular timeline that will be executed as synchronized with the system time. Now you are requiring to change that particular time or into that particular service. So you are having one option, that is cron tab, right? So cron tab is nothing but the cron and the tabular format. That means to manipulate the job schedule, you want to edit the job schedule. In that case, you are using cron tab. So it is nothing but the configuration file. So in that you have to mention what is the job ID or the process ID, or you can set the command that you want to execute, that is what you want to run and when to run, that thing that you have to mention in that particular cron tab command. So previously that you have mentioned in cron services, now you want to edit, you want to manipulate whatever the time schedule. In that case, you can use these cron tab services. Now the syntax for the cron tab, that is M, H, DOM, MON, DOW, and then after the command. What it means? So first, that is the minute, M, that is minutes, then after H, that is hours, then after DOM, that is day of month, then after MON, that specifies the month name, then after the DOM, that is the day of particular month, and then after the command. So in this specific format, you have to apply whatever the values, and the terminal or the kernel will understand that particular command that you have to execute on specified time. So whenever that sequence matches of all the time that you have mentioned, that particular command will be executed accordingly. Now, say for example, asterisk. Suppose you want to use asterisk, then the time specification field to match any value. So if it is not fixed, say for example, first day of the month, or the second day of the month, or the first day of the week, or the third day of the week, that cannot be specified. In that case, you are using that asterisk sign. In that case, what system will understand? It will understand that any day, or say for example, the first day of the any month, or the first day of a week. So that will be executed. So we can see with the help of example. Say for example, you want to change or modify or manipulate whatever the commands or time scheduling you have given, you can use E option with cron tab. So the system will ask you for specific editor. Normally you are working with the nano editor, it is very user friendly. So you can select that nano editor, and then after you can change whatever the time for scheduling. Now how to scheduling the job? So here the example is given. Say for example, you want to execute the command user bin and backup. That means you want to take backup at 2:30 AM on the first day of every month, right? This is our requirement. So how you can apply this thing? So you can see in the example, first M that represent the minutes, that is 30 minutes, then after 2, that is 2 AM, then after 1, that is the first day, then after asterisk, that is every month. Mind well here, I am not mentioning any of the digit. If you are specifying here any of the digit, then that specific month, say for example, I am applying for the August month. So 8 that I am applying. So on specified month, that particular job will be executed, but I am not mentioning here the month name. here star or asterisk, that means or every month that particular job that will be executed. Same way you can see on the screen. Say for example, you want to execute the every day of the week. In that case, you are using asterisk for the same. If I am not using asterisk, then specific day that I have to mention here, right? So I would like to take backup, or I would like to execute the backup command on 2:30 a.m. for first day of every month and every day of the week. Then I have to assign this command, right? Then after specifying multiple values and the ranges. In the previous example, we have seen some specific time and specific time you want to execute or you want to schedule that particular command or particular job will execute. But now suppose you are requiring that particular job or particular command that will execute multiple times, right? In that case, you have to mention multiple values here. You can see on the screen that we have mentioned 30, then after 2, then after the comma, 14 and 1. So here I have specified 2 times specification that particular job, that means here in our case backup command that will execute on which time. So 30th minute, 2 am as well as the 2 pm. As we have mentioned that all those process management commands you can apply in 24-hour format, right? So here 14, that means 2 pm, that will be considered. Then after first day, every month and every day of the week. So this way you can assign multiple values for execution. Same way, if you want to assign range, then you can also specify the range. You can see on the example on the screen 0th minute, then after 2-14. Here dash sign that I am mentioning, that means every hour that particular job. Which job? Here backup command that will be executed, that will run, because we have scheduled 2 am, 3 am, 4 am up to 2 pm, right? So this is the range. Then after the every first day of every month and every day of the week. So these are the specification if you want to execute particular command on multiple times or multiple range. Then after cron tab shortcuts, these are self-explanatory. Say for example, you want to execute particular job or command yearly or annually, you can use this annotation. Say for example, same way monthly, say for example weekly, daily, midnight, hourly. So these are the various shortcuts by which you can execute whatever the command or you can execute that particular job by using all these options, right? Then after wait and sleep command. Now these are the command that can be used to wait for a particular job to finish. Say for example, you are using that wait command with some specific process ID or job ID, then what it means? It means that particular process that will be first finished and then after another process will start. So here you can see the syntax wait, process ID and or job ID. So wait 1384, that is the job number. So here that process 1384, that wait for that particular process and then after it will return the exit status. So if you are not mentioning the process ID here, what happen? Whatever the available child processes, they are all executed first and then after it will give you the exit status. Now what is exit status? So normally it is nothing but some integer numbers. Based on that you can get idea whether the command is properly or successfully executed or not. If you are getting the exit status 0, that means the previous command that is executed properly, it is executed successfully without any error. And any other integer, say for example 1 you are getting, that means that previous command that is not running or not executing properly, right? So whenever you are using wait command, you have to finish that particular job or particular process, that you have to wait for the next process. Then after the next command, you can see that is sleep command. If you want to interrupt, if you want to stop or make any process in delay, in that case you can use the sleep command. So what is the difference between sleep and wait? Mind well, wait, that is wait for some specific event that will occur. While sleep you are mentioning, that means particular time that will be completed or finished, then after that particular another command or another job that will be started. Say for example, I am using sleep command with 100 seconds. So that particular command will pause for 100 seconds, and when 100 seconds elapsed or it is passed, then after it will again executing, right? So that is the basic difference between sleep and the wait command. So here multiple options you can assign. S by default, that is seconds, M for minutes, H for hours, D for day. Here sleep 10S, that means you want to put delay of 10 seconds. Then after sleep 10M, that is you want to put delay of 10 minutes. Then after 10H, if you want to put delay of 10 hours. So these are the number of options that you can use with the sleep command, right? So in today's session, we have discussed various process related commands like process management, how you can able to do management of the processes and how to schedule the process, the at command, batch command. Then after we have discussed that cron services, then after the cron tab, how you can schedule multiple days or in the range. Then after we have discussed wait and sleep command, right? So all these commands are related with the process management. Now in the next subsequent session, we are moving with some more process related commands as well as the file related commands. Till happy learning. Thank you.
स्वाध्यायः परः